In a quiet study nestled high among temple peaks, a young historian bowed respectfully before an elderly monk clad in simple robes. His name was Master Musan, revered as a living Buddha. The historian, a diligent young woman, politely explained her reason for coming. She was gathering materials to compile a historical record on a certain legendary figure. Master Musan blinked slowly and asked with a slight chuckle, "Did you say you wanted to know about Wei-Yonho?" The young woman nodded with enthusiasm, confirming that she was indeed investigating the life and deeds of the radiant martial sovereign Wei-Yonho. Master Musan's expression turned reflective. He let out a slow laugh before speaking. Wei-Yonho, yes, the radiant martial sovereign. He was a benevolent, upright man. It would not be an exaggeration to say that the Buddha himself must have sent him down to us. The historian's eyes lit up with satisfaction. She told the monk that it was exactly as she had suspected, then gently inquired what kind of man Wei-Yonho was in daily life. But as she asked the question, Master Musan's demeanor changed. His face twitched violently, and his hands began to tremble. His eyes, once serene, now burned with suppressed rage. Then he suddenly exploded, yelling, "Damn it, I can't do this." The young woman was left bewildered. She barely had time to stammer out a confused, "Excuse me," before she was unceremoniously tossed out of the temple grounds. Undeterred, she traveled next to the Pang clan of Hubei, hoping for more clarity, but her request was met with equal hostility. The moment she mentioned Wei-Yonho's name, they hurled salt at her as if driving away a cursed spirit, and yet, the world revered this man. Wei-Yonho, the radiant martial sovereign, a legendary figure, who ended an era of chaos, a true gentleman, a man of honor, known across the world as one of the greatest warriors of his time. Some hailed him as the greatest of all time. Others called him the epitome of chivalry. As she trudged toward her final destination, the infamous beggar sect, the historian mulled over the strange reactions she'd received. She wondered aloud why everyone seemed to avoid discussing Wei-Yonho. She reminded herself of her duty as a historian to uncover the full truth, even the parts that others wanted to forget. And on that day, she believed she was finally close to learning the real story. At the gates of the beggar sect, she was greeted by a lunatic old man with a wild laugh and eyes too sharp for his age. He was known among the sect as the Divine Mad Dog. The old man cackled and asked if she had been chased out of Shaolin and the Peian clan. She admitted it, explaining that every time she brought up Wei-Yonho's name, people responded with disdain, fury, or fear. The Mad Dog burst into laughter again, shaking his head. He told her that, of course, they would react like that. Then, with a dark grin, he dropped a bombshell. He said that Wei-Yonho was the absolute worst kind of person. The historian fell silent. Then, with a storyteller's voice and a twinkle of madness in his eye, the old man began recounting the tale. 100 years earlier, in the Guangdong region, there lived a boy from the prestigious Wei clan. His name was Wei-Yonho, and at the age of 12 he lay sprawled across his bed, mumbling that he would one day become the strongest under the heavens. He had been born into a martial family and raised under the strict code of chivalry. From an early age he had learned that the surest way to the top was through relentless effort. And yet, the problem, he was lazy, hopelessly lazy. As the sun dipped toward the horizon, the boy sighed. He mumbled that today was supposed to be the start of his path to greatness. But alas, it was already evening. He decided that a good night's sleep would be the better option and promised to start training tomorrow. Just then, someone kicked open the door to his room and shouted for him to get up. The boy remained still until the voice barked again. Recognizing the tone, he opened his eyes and groaned. "Oh, you're here." Standing before him was his father Wei Zhonghan, the righteous chivalrous swordsman and patriarch of the Wei clan. Wei Zhonghan, arms crossed and veins bulging, asked if the boy knew what time it was. The boy lazily replied that he'd seen the sun, so it must still be daytime. His father scowled. "Then why are you still in bed?" Wei-Yonho answered that the sun was still setting, so there was no rush. Zhonghan's face darkened. He demanded to know how long Yonho had been holed up in his room. The boy awkwardly guessed 2 or 3 days. No, maybe just 2. That was the final straw. His father exploded, roaring that it had been for days. For entire days of rolling around in blankets doing nothing. Not even a bear would lie in bed that long. Wei-Yonho chuckled and said that he did occasionally get up to stretch, so there was no need for concern. He even claimed he'd tried to train, but each time he opened his eyes, the sun had already begun to set. He explained, quite sincerely, that when the sun sets, one must sleep in order to wake up early the next day to train. Zhonghan lost his temper and roared that he would personally fix that rotten attitude. He flipped the boy's bed, sending him tumbling to the floor, declaring that today would be the day he straightened his son out once and for all. Later that evening, in the clan's administrative office, Wei Zhonghan sat slumped at his desk, rubbing his temples. The clan's administrator Zhou Bang entered and asked if this was once again about the second young master. Junhan admitted it was. Who else could it possibly be? Zhou Bang tried to reassure him, suggesting the boy would mature with time, but Zhonghan could only blame himself. He recalled how, when Wei-Yonho was only 2, he had left on a martial dual pilgrimage. He had intended to be gone for just 2 years but had ended up returning only after 8, tangled in countless incidents along the way. Though he earned the honorary title of righteous chivalrous swordsman, he had lost precious time. When he returned, his once gentle wife had become fiercer than a tiger, and his son, a boy he'd thought would be fine, had grown into an indolent sloth. Dodger Bang assured him that there was still hope. Jung-han asked him what hope remained. The administrator reminded him that someone would be returning soon. Jengen's eyes widened. Ah, that's right. Joe Bang confirmed it. After 3 long years, the eldest son would finally be returning from the academy. A sly grin crept onto Jengen's face. Yes, there was one person that Wei Yonho actually feared. That person was Wei Sanho, eldest son of the Wei clan, and a true martial genius. Later, in the boys' room, Wei Yonho lay facing the wall, shivering for no apparent reason. He muttered that he was suddenly getting chills. When he turned around, his face went pale. Standing there, arms folded, was Wei Sanho. Sanho asked how long Yonho had been asleep. Yonho tried to deflect. Did you get here? Sanho pressed the question again. The boy stammered and then launched into a lie. He claimed he had trained earlier that morning and only napped because of exhaustion. Sanho demanded proof. He told Yonho to use a sword technique to split a candle in 2. Cornered, Yonho hesitated. He gave excuses. This was indoors. It might be dangerous. Sanho dismissed the concern and ordered him to demonstrate. Reluctantly, Yonho leapt into the air and performed an exaggerated sword technique. He landed in a dramatic pose, but the candle remained whole, still flickering. Sanho's voice was flat with disappointment. He reminded Yonho that 3 years had passed. That was more than enough time to master a sword technique. And yet, the boy had gotten worse. That night, during dinner, Yonho sat across from his family and quietly wished for indigestion to take him. His father asked Sanho about life at the martial academy, and the conversation flowed easily until Sanho brought up an issue. Their mother asked what the matter was, and Sanho calmly said that it concerned Yonho. The boy looked up, startled. Sanho suggested that they needed to send Yonho to the martial academy as well. The color drained from Yonho's face. Back in the present, the divine mad dog of the beggar sect howled with laughter as he finished the tale. He declared that this was how the great history began, and that back then, no one, not even the heavens, could have predicted that this lazy boy would one day shake the entire world.